Dun, da, 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 da. Bum, ba, ba, bum, bum, ba, 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 bum, bum, bum. Rebel Moon. Hey, who's been keeping up with all the Rebel Moon news, all my favorite rebels? It is I, broadcasting live from Site B at this 9 o'clock in the morning on a foggy September 28th in the year of our Lord Darth Vader 2023. And we've got some news on the Rebel Moon tabletop role-playing game. Now, you might be asking yourself, what's Rebel Moon? Is that a new Star Wars thing? Because it sure sounds like it, because it was supposed to be, but then it wasn't. So if you're not up to date on what the Rebel Moon is, that's perfectly fine, because I think most people have no idea what Rebel Moon is. Zack Snyder wanted to write a Star Wars film. He wrote a Star Wars film. Disney and Star Wars went, nope. So Snyder just changed a few things, regurgitated it, chopped it up, put it back together, and called it Rebel Moon, and sold it to Netflix. Now, I don't remember if this is supposed to be a series or a movie or both. We don't know. But in the process, this is from day one to now, it turns out that Zach and Netflix had contacted a game company to work on a Rebel Moon tabletop role-playing game in tandem with the upcoming Rebel Moon movie, TV show, whatever it is that's going to be on Netflix. Because, can't call it Star Wars, and we can't use the Star Wars game, so let's make our own. If you're not sure who Evil Genius Games is, they're the makers of Everyday Heroes. They're the ones who got the licenses for The Crow, Skull Island, Pacific Rim, Highlander, and more. They are set to release a tabletop role-playing game based upon the Rebel Moon, and Evil Genius got screwed. Netflix breached the contract. According to this, it was done. It was in the pipe. They had finished the player's guide, the GM's guide. They had a world Bible. They had a setting created. They had letters from developers. They had communications from Snyder and Netflix. And then Netflix went, whoop, because they claim that Evil Genius violated confidentiality, and now Netflix is asserting ownership over all the work they did, including the World Bible, the significant work undertaken by Evil Genius, and they haven't paid for it. They did offer to pay for it, $50,000, but Evil Genius did not accept that offer. Snyder has now also indicated that all the contents of the World Bible would be incorporated into future cinematic and video game properties that he and Netflix, I guess, will control. So thanks for doing all this work for us, Evil Genius Games. Thanks for creating a brand new thing and creating a World Bible and a player's guide and a GM's guide and an entire system speculating past what we had created. We're just going to yank this away from you, claim that you broke confidentiality, and now we're going to take everything that you've done and use it to make our own cinematic and video game properties. By the way, do you want $50,000 for that? And Evil Genius said, no. Did Evil Genius think they were going to make more than $50,000 off of this? Or were they planning on thinking that, hey, merchandising, Rebel Moon toys, we want a chunk of that? What? I mean, yeah, it sucks, but also what did Evil Genius think the future of this was, that it wasn't worth $50,000. I mean, if Netflix gave me $50,000, I'd be like, fine, thank you very much. I guess they wanted their name attached to their Rebel Moon, and now Netflix is saying, no, it's all ours, you can't have it. And Evil Genius is like, no, we really wanted to be associated with that, so we're not going to take your $50,000 because we think the name Rebel Moon and our association with it will be worth more than $50,000. Because there are thousands and thousands of people across the planet right now crying out for a Rebel Moon tabletop role-playing game that it is no way, shape, or form Star Wars. Now we go more into this. I don't know what it is Netflix is claiming that they did to violate confidentiality, considering we haven't seen single mention of Evil Genius talking about this. But they do claim that there was some artwork that was handed out at Gamma by Evil Genius and Netflix employees, official artwork. Netflix had approved it, but now Netflix is saying, No. You did this without our permission, even though Netflix approved of it, and there was a Netflix employee there. So they're saying, oh, you breached a contract. Evil Genius is saying in response, no, you're simply using this breach of contract to hijack the intellectual property and prevent Evil Genius from releasing the game, which will now not be ours. Evil Genius is encouraging supporters to visit Evil Genius Games, where you can sign a petition asking Netflix to acknowledge the creators of the Rebel Moon World Bible and allow Evil Genius to release the tabletop role-playing game. I mean, who are you going to get to do it, Netflix, if Evil Genius doesn't, huh? Or you're just like, screw the role-playing game. We think there's a huge audience for a video game based upon this universe. Because, for all those people who want to play Star Wars and explore the Star Wars universe, but don't want to worry about that whole messy Star Wars. Here's Rebel Moon, which totally is not Star Wars, even though it was originally intended to be a Star Wars movie. But Snyder couldn't get his way, so he then turned around and made Rebel Moon, which totally is not a Star Wars movie. There's absolutely no connections with Star Wars whatsoever. If you watch this movie, at no point in time you go, that looks a lot like Star Wars. Nope, it's completely new, completely different. It's going to be a Netflix, and then there's going to be a series, and then there's going to be a video game. We're bypassing the whole tabletop role-playing game thing. There's no market for a Rebel Moon tabletop role-playing game, but there's definitely a market for a Rebel Moon video game. Because look at Starfield. Right? Look at the success of all of the other video games Netflix has made. Go ahead. Look. Oh, wait. Yeah. Sucks for Evil Genius. Me, I would take the 50 grand. If you really think that your name recognition associated with this is going to make that much of a difference, I mean, let's assume it is. Let's assume in some weird way this is a hint, and let's assume 30% of the reason why this is a hit is because people thought it was a Star Wars thing, because it sure as a fuck sounds like a Star Wars thing, but it's not Star Wars. Okay, so let's assume it's a hit. Let's assume it's a Netflix success. I mean, not Squid Game success, but a success. All right, and then they're like, okay, we're gonna make a Rebel Moon series, 6-episode, $1 million per episode series. Do you think that there's going to be enough fan base for this, for people to go, oh yeah, I totally want to see a series based upon this totally not Star Wars franchise, and then I want to play a video game set in this totally not Star Wars universe? Or I don't know, I could just play a Star Wars game, or I could just download, Starlight, or play, whatever, any other of the million other space games that are out there that are, inspired by Star Wars, or I could just bypass the middleman and play any one of the dozens of Star Wars video games and play the totally awesome West End Games D6 Star Wars game, which is currently, been reprinted for its anniversary. Yeah. So what do you think? Did Evil Genius violate confidentiality by taking pictures that Netflix gave them and improved with Netflix employees present and show them to Gamma representatives? Is that a breach of confidentiality? I mean, I'm not the smartest bean in the hill, but I'm going to say no, it's not. Now, should they have taken the 50 grand and called it even, knowing full well that if they just continue the press campaign, people's going to associate Rebel Moon with them, whether they actually get the rights or not? I would have taken the 50 grand, but then I'm a cheap shill. I get why they're not. I get why they want to keep that theirs and the hopes that. But again, it's all a lot. It's all, it's a matter of pride. It's a matter you got screwed over. 50 grand you don't think is enough because you think it's going to be worth more down the line. And that's why you want to be associated with it. What if it's a total flop? Do you still want to be associated with it? And Netflix, You're opening the door to a huge cavalcade of chaos and negative press, which you're already facing a whole bunch of other negative press right now for totally unrelated things. Do you really need this negative press falling into you with this big of a gamble? You're gambling on this, and let's look how well your last gamble did with Heart of Stone, which I watched last night with Gail Godot. Heart of Stone, that was a bomb, and that was a big gamble. They were expecting to do a Heart of Stone series and really have that be their spy franchise. Yeah, no. So this is a huge gamble, and they're gambling more by screwing over Evil Genius Games. I mean, that's not to say that Evil Genius Games won't win the case, that they could lose it. I mean, weirder things have happened. Oh, I know you have a cavalcade of evidence that Netflix screwed you, but I really need to see another season of that show, so I'm going to give Netflix they didn't screw you. But they said we could do it. Here's the letter saying we could do it. There was a guy there with us who said we could do it. Yeah, they never said that. But the letter, what letter? I need another season of Sex Education. Yeah. What do you think, guys? Anybody out there, we're excited for a Rebel Moon role-playing game? I'm going to just take a pot shot here and say no. That probably most of you didn't even know this was a thing until I brought it up just now. Good morning, Patriot Hobbies. Let me know what you're thinking. Till next time, I'm the OGGM broadcasting from a Rebel Moon somewhere in the universe. Till next time.